Hi guys, we're back talking UFC 327 review.
Yep.
Went down this Saturday live from Miami. I'm here with co-host Nicholas from Next Gen Production. One of the best cards of the year, bro. What were
Yep.
your
It was
initial
a
thoughts
really
about this
exciting
card?
card. It was a really exciting card. We had a lot of fun as well. We have a little group chat that we catch up with, talk to each other with. It was really,
That was vibes,
when
yeah.
I thought about starting like something like this, that was the main thinking behind it because I really didn't have people to talk to about MMA and the cards and the fights and stuff like that.
Live.
Um,
Yeah.
so it was really fun. The fights and the other parts of it, we saw some really surprising things in the main card. We saw some very interesting things in the Josh Hokett fight. We saw some very,
Yeah, well
it was
we'll
a
go
good
through.
card overall. I really enjoyed myself.
Yeah, we'll go through. Shout out in case anybody wants to join our group chat. I used to be back and forth with Joash.
Ah,
Anybody else interested in joining our group chat? Send us a message and yeah, it's BRL vibes.
yep, yep, yep,
So getting into it one time, right? We started from the main event. Well,
yep,
the main event come down. We had Yuri Prochazka fighting Carlos Ulberg. Now,
yeah,
remember my pick was Yuri,
yeah.
and
Same.
Yuri was winning until he wasn't.
Until he lost. Yeah,
And we know he basically how the fight was going, he was chopping up Ulberg's left leg.
yeah,
His and then Ulberg with a step back, he basically I don't know if it was his knee or
yeah,
his ACL. Well, yeah.
yeah. I
You
heard
could
it's
see
the ACL.
the ripple. You could see that
Yeah,
it got compromised. And
yeah,
listen, bro, in my thoughts, I think like Yuri was about two leg kicks away. Well, front leg kick. Remember, if he
from
was
winning. Yeah,
compromising the front leg kick, Ulberg's right leg was already gone. He was about two kicks away from the fight finishing
yeah,
because the front leg had already sustained so much damage. And I saw Yuri point down to the ground, and it wasn't the max point down, a last 10
yeah,
seconds point down. He point down to the ground, all right, let's stay here, not have to move around because he felt sorry
yeah,
for Ulberg. What do you think about
yeah.
that in terms of him showing that
It's
mercy?
it's such it's such a weird thing to see live in an MMA fight, but it also kind of explains why people like Jiri Prochazka's personality so much because you kind of understood what he was kind of like. It almost seems like in a situation where you had the easiest path up to victory, it wasn't about just about winning for you. It's about the competition, really showing who is the better martial artist. So I could see why he may have done what he did, but this is the game. This is the real. This is the tip of the spear right now. You have to be brutal. You can't feel sorry for people because this is what happens. This is what happens. And I was stunned. I haven't like screamed out at a fight. I think last time I really like had a reaction like I did with that ending was the Kamaru Usman Leon Edwards head kicks
Head
going
kick,
around the
head
world.
kick, head kick, that
I was
headshot.
actually stunned. I really like it was a really good card. I really enjoyed it. That was like the thing for me that made me go, because I also saw okay, maybe Oliver could win the fight. I wasn't taking anything away from him. But it's
Well,
the
not on one leg though, but I mean,
precisely no, but what I'm
yeah.
saying is at the beginning of the fight, it's not like I wasn't expecting him to win at all. It's not like I didn't give him any chance. But the way in which Yuri lost, and it's so funny because we were saying the inverse of what happened, the inverse of what happened. This time we usually say Yuri is losing until he wins, but this time he was winning until he lost, and it was a really interesting. That's the best way to describe it for me. Interesting. Like I really didn't expect I don't even think Yuri expected what happened. I don't even think Ulberg expected what happened. But at the end of it, I'm happy for the guy. I want to see a rematch between Ulberg and Prohaska.
That's
I
quite
I am
possible. Yeah.
curious. I want to see a rematch because Ulberg won the belt, but during the fight, I was saying to myself, it seemed that Yuri had some distance in him on him in terms of experience and approach. And so I I think a rematch with Yuri learning what he learned, because he also admitted that he learned a harsh lesson on night. I think we're going to get a really exciting fight, because this would also put a certain amount of confidence within Carlos Ulberg that, hey, even on one leg, even in the darkest of the dark, I was still able to pull it out and get the win and have this belt. I'm supposed to be here, that kind of way. So I think a rematch would be really interesting between the two of them.
Well, a couple things before we move on. Carlos Ulberg said that he would not have done the same because he said you're in there to fight and you had to try and win that belt at any cost necessary, whatever you have to do, right?
Yeah,
And to your point, Yuri Prochazka said that he learned from this and so on. He said that after he lost to Alex.
Alex. Yeah,
So did he really learn? Because he said that he went back, he reinvented himself, and then he came back. Now, yes, we understand. As a martial artist, he would have shown that respect to his opponent and so on. But at the end of the day, he's going home without the belt, and Carlos is
yeah,
the champion. So
yeah,
yes, a rematch might be a good idea. But then again, we don't know how long Carlos will be out for. And
yeah,
one of the things we'll talk about coming up as well. So we have a new contender in this category also, who I think is 1 or 2 fights away, right? Possibly from fighting for the title. So at the end of the day, listen, in my position, I probably, to be honest, I might have do the same thing Yuri did in terms of not wanting to further injure my opponent, but it's
yeah,
fighting, bro. It's fighting until the referee pulls it off,
yeah,
and that's what it is about. And as I say, Carlos is the new champion now,
yeah.
looking good.
New lightweight. Yeah,
And
light
yeah,
heavyweight.
we just had to see how long he'll be out for, and then see what are the possibilities. We don't know if he might have an interim championship. In the meantime, before he's able to fight again. Um,
But big respect and shout outs to Carlos Ulberg, bro. Like I I think maybe another fighter might have already really started giving up on himself at that point in time, because he was hurt.
and all
It's
he
you
had was
can't
that
say he
left
wasn't
foot.
hurt.
All he had that was the only weapon
All
he
he
had
had was
left.
the left. Correct. He
Yeah.
definitely was hurt, and so shout out to him for having that fighter spirit, for not giving up on himself, even in being in so much trouble against somebody as dangerous as Yuri Pascal. Shout out to him, man. The light heavyweight getting exciting again. Pereira left, but it still has some dogs, bro. Some really excellent
Right.
fights in there.
So that moves us right along into the co-main event. We had Asmat Musakanov versus Paulo Costa, and this is
Yeah,
the guy I'm talking about, who is a new potential contender at 205. Well done by Paulo Costa to get that TKO body kick,
yeah,
and he opens up great opportunities. As I said, a couple fights away from a title fight. Dana, we know, likes finishes, so
yeah,
he's an exciting prospect. And in front of Trump, we saw him talking to Trump
yeah,
after possibly
yeah, yeah.
sorting out his green
Applying for the
card.
green
And
card.
and, and Trump, by the way, shout out to 47 Donald J. Trump. He was there. We know he supports UFC, whether it's be
Yeah,
mostly in New York or Miami. And Trump even told Paulo Costa, hey, you're a good looking guy. You shouldn't be fighting.
yeah, yeah. You should be
So
fighting.
what
You're
do you
too good
what do
looking
you
to be
think about this
fighting.
performance, taking the undefeated Russian record?
While I'm talking, I'm gonna quickly try to pull up Azamat's record, because I wanna say maybe
He was
Azamata
16
has
and
over
0.
checked. But
Yeah.
not just his record, but more to like who has he fought, because it felt like it was weird. Okay, so he's fought Rakic and he won. He's fought Alonso Menenfield. Honestly, watching the fight, once you got into the second and third, it felt like he ran into somebody who was of a higher caliber. Which is
Yeah.
weird to say that of the fighter moving up, not to say that Paulo Costa is not a high caliber
Surprisingly, on
fighter.
that point, Paulo Costa, I thought moving up would have been an issue, but Paulo Costa was much bigger than Asmat, bro.
And so what I thought his issue was is that we've seen him not gas out, but we've seen him gas. and I thought he would have possibly not had the regiment down to maintain or and move it all that weight at that at the new light heavy division.
Yeah.
In terms of Paulo, he looked good, but the thing is, I always believed Paulo to be a top martial artist. Do I think he is going to really make some waves in the light heavy? Me personally, no, because I think the competition was underestimating him. So I think Azamat probably was looking at him as, hey, this guy is coming up. He hasn't had the best of fights before this. I've been knocking people crazy out, starch. I'm going to, just move through this guy. One of the things that I heard that I really appreciate from Costa, and I like I said, I appreciate, is that the desk said when they spoke to him during the media scrum, him and his coach was saying that they did a lot of homework. They did their homework. They did a lot of research. They did a lot of, and I like to hear that. That to me tells
Yeah.
me that a fighter is taking his job seriously. They're doing the work. They're putting in the time. Paulo looked really good in comparison to how you've seen him prior, in his prior fights. I'm excited to see him. I need to see him fight one or two more times to really think he's gonna make waves at this division. Simply because guys like Alex Pereira, Carlos Ulberg, the guys who lives at light heavy, they're just bad guys, bro. Like bad
Well,
guys. Like
well,
they don't
to
get
agree.
tired. They have punching power.
Yeah.
They are just bad guys. You can't come here and play for slips in light heavy. So
To
I look
agree, and
forward to
also to kind
see
of
him.
push back. Yeah.
Sure.
I'm not sure if it's a new girlfriend or something like that, but he mentioned that she would have played a part in terms of him refocusing. Also, his team
Oh
as well. We know that they would have sat him down and said that, listen, all the little hype stuff that you do on social media and that kind of
yes,
thing. Do you want to
producing
be
it.
remembered as that, or do you want to be remembered as a great fighter? And I think
Yeah.
seeing him refocus, normally he's talking all kind of craziness on the mic and stuff like that. He settled down himself, and I think we really seeing a new and improved Paulo Costa. So
Yeah.
time will tell, I guess.
One of the things that I said, and I'll even say it here, one of the things I said in the group is, did Paulo Costa have a better performance at light heavyweight than Israel Adesanya? And, Paulo fought Azamat, Izzy fought Jan Blachowicz,
Jan Blachowicz, yeah,
but I think Paulo gave a better account of himself in this fight. His first fight at light heavy, he gave a
yeah.
better account, and this is as a Israel Adesanya fight fan. I was severely disappointed in the approach Izzy took to the Jan Blachowicz fight. So
But
I think
remember,
he will
to be
definitely.
fair to with Izzy, Jan had a master game plan in terms of he implemented a lot of wrestling, knowing that is Izzy
Well,
weakness.
his plan. Well,
So probably the
Izzy
matchup
told
wasn't the
him the
best for
plan.
him. Yeah,
Izzy told him the plan. Izzy told him, I'm not going to get heavy. I'm not going to actually move up in weight. I'm not going to put on weight. I'm not going to do any of these things. I'm basically just going to be
natural
what
at
do you
a
call it? A
natural
fighter,
weight, not cut weight. Yeah,
natural weight, and
yeah,
fight there. And
which
Jan
was a mistake.
Blachowicz is a huge guy. Like when we saw them
Yeah, he probably weighs like
fixed
two
up.
thirty in the fight.
Yeah, come on. So it was a terrible plan. And
Yeah,
and it wasn't even against Jan. It's more on Izzy's planning. And I'm a person that always say, if I like you, I reserve the right to criticize you even harder than somebody that I may not like, because then I'm not even really paying attention. So like I said, Paulo really looked good. I really appreciate his refocusing in the fighting game, because I honestly at a point was looking at him like he was just the jokey joke guy. He was
yeah,
just
yeah.
there for a good time, and it's good that he decides to take back some respect in what he's doing.
Right, and moving down the card again, we had in the heavyweight division, Curtis Blades versus Josh Hookett. Bro,
Yeah,
this fight
insanity.
was insane on so many levels. It was pure
Same.
entertainment, chaos, right?
Yeah,
Josh Hookett won via unanimous decision. Bro, this was amazing. And listen, it earned Josh Hookett
yeah,
a fight on the White House card. Remember, this
yeah,
happened all organically. President
Yeah.
Trump asked Dana, how come Derek Lewis isn't fighting on the White House card?
Yeah.
Dana said, give me 5 minutes, President. He went, talked to McMahon, those guys, Shelby, and called up Derek Lewis, said, hey, the president wants you to fight on the White House card.
Yeah. Do you want to fight?
Will you fight? And Derek Lewis said, yeah, and thank you, President. And
Yeah.
then Joe Rogan mentioned about, wait, is there space for Josh Hockett on the White House
Yeah.
card? And it just meshed together. What do you think about this performance from both guys? So, by the way, fun fact, Josh Hockett and Curtis Blades won Fight of the Night. It was 640 strikes
Strikes thrown,
thrown,
right? Yeah.
350 landed, a new
Insane.
record in the heavyweight division, bro. And it earned Hockett, well, he got the Fight of the Night bonus, plus he
Yeah.
got a Performance of the Night bonus. What do
Yeah.
you think about that?
Um, just to add to the White House card situation, because we have a direct line to the UFC. I don't know if you all know. If you're all in this group chat, we have a direct line to the UFC. So in round two, we were like, "Yo, put Josh Hockett versus Derek Lewis on the White House card. Like this is what we need right now." By the end
Good
of the fight,
suggestion, yes.
Josh Hockett was
Joe
fighting
Rogan
on the
with
White
you.
House card versus Derek Lewis. It was insanity. It was
By
it
the way,
was fun to
Curtis
watch.
Blades, he suffered a fractured orbital and a broken nose, huh?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and one of the things about some of these older fighters. So like I don't know if it was an interview. I think it was an interview or maybe it was just a live stream. I was watching parts of a live stream with Curtis Blades. And he was talking about fighting and he was saying a lot of good things about fighting. He was saying positive things, but he sounded like he was a fighter that was tired or not disenfranchised but exhausted. Like at the end of his run, he didn't sound excited and enthusiastic about it like maybe he would back in the day. And I don't know. I haven't been a Curtis Blades fan to know that I know his inflections in terms of talking. But when I saw that, it was very interesting. It made me go, hmm. And this was before I even heard about the Josh Hookett fight. And so all I was taking from it was that he seems like he's just about ready to be done with fighting. And he didn't necessarily show that in that fight, but he showed that he's slowing down a little bit. He's getting older. He showed his age, in my opinion. He still showed that he is Curtis Blades. He didn't look like he couldn't handle himself. He just Josh Hookett bringing a next level of energy to the ring,
He brought
a
it,
next
yeah.
level of craziness, a next level of insanity. On the preview, we were saying this is what we need in the heavyweight division.
And
We need
Josh Hockett looked like
entertainment.
about 30 pounds lighter than Curtis Blades, by the way.
Yes. The only thing I would say is Josh, bro. I know, and this is the weird thing about heavyweight. Heavyweight never lasts that long unless it really has to. You understand? Like dependent on the fighter, you're getting a first round, second round, third round knockout
Yeah,
very
but
seldom.
both guys were born after the first round, to
They
be
were
honest.
burnt after the first
Yeah.
exactly. And so Hooker definitely needs because if you have to face some of these guys, some of these bad men in the heavyweight, you're gonna need a gas tank, bro. And that was the thing that was slightly disappointed to see.
Maybe, maybe
But
not.
it right, it kind of made sense because he moves like a steam head kind of guy, just a kettle, just real
Zabala.
steam, and then you take it off and that is it. The steam gone. He needs to address that
He got a
because
second win, though, in the third round, by the way.
yeah. Rob, our other guy, he said something. He said, "Okay, throws without taking his head off the center line. He doesn't move his head a lot." I can see him getting clipped and put to sleep
Well,
very quickly.
I mean,
So,
against
and for
Derek Lewis,
example, that was the thing for me. I was like, "Oh yeah, Derek Lewis is gonna knock this guy out. Like he is going to knock this guy out." So yeah, let's see it. Let's see it.
one or the other is going to go to
Let's
sleep.
see it.
Listen, I don't want to spend much time on this because this fight was a snooze fest. Dominic Reyes versus
What do
Johnny
you mean?
Walker.
This was the
Bro,
people's fight of the night, GSP.
bro, yes, but nah, listen, split decision for Dominic Reyes, right? Bro, the crowd was booing.
Yeah,
Thank God Curtis Blades and Josh Hockett
yeah,
basically
came right
saved us
after.
after
Yeah.
we
We
forgot about
totally
this,
forgot
but
about that.
bro, listen, I really don't know. What
Yeah.
what were your quick thoughts about this? Because I really didn't enjoy this fight at all. I don't know what these guys were doing. They
This was
hardly
the
threw
people's.
anything.
This was the people's main event. This was the card they were
Supposed to
all
be.
looking
Supposed
for.
to be. Yeah.
Nah, this was it
Bro, it's one of
was
the worst
crazy.
fights.
Yeah. And this is exactly what Rob and I were kind of alluding to with what we said on the preview, where both guys are aware that they could get knocked out. Both guys are aware of how chinny they are. Both guys are aware of how explosive and unpredictable the other guy is. Therefore, we're going to have a really snooze fest fight, or a first round double knockout, or something crazy, something insane that you're not going to expect in a fight. And instead, we got the ball, just get to the finish line. To me, it seemed like both guys had times where they felt they really wanted to up the ante a little bit,
But hell back.
but it might just be time. It just might be time. I kind of joked on the group chat. Hey, does Dana White cut both these guys at the end of this fight?
Possibly, possibly. Listen, after a performance like
Because
that,
I thought
bro,
fight.
that's not killer ourselves on any other promotion. This would get good. This was one of the worst
No,
things. Listen,
Bellator would be doing
I just
numbers,
want to
bro.
forget about that fight.
This fight would be doing numbers, bro. This would be like, yeah,
Nah, bro, insulting Bellator there now. But anyhow, rounding off the
yeah,
main card, right? We had Mr. Cobb Swanson beaten Nate Landwehr by TKO in round one. Listen,
yeah.
I
What
am
a
so happy for Cobb
fight!
Swanson. He looked great at 42.
Yeah,
Thank you, Cobb Swanson,
yeah,
with his whole family there and everything. A great
yeah,
performance by Cobb Swanson, bro.
yeah. Nate Landwehr looked lost in the sauce. He had no idea what was going on. He had no answers for Cub. Um,
So a great matchup.
it was really good. I was actually thinking to myself, because I said this on the preview. Retiring at 42 is insane. Fighting at 37, I think that's how old Nate is also insane. Nate looks like he needs to be done. No offense to him. I've also seen him be the dog and be really entertaining already. I think this just might be his time, bro. But hey, Cobb, this is how you want to go out. They gave
Well
him
done,
an
Cobb.
excellent media rollout as well. I kind of admitted to the group that I may not have seen a lot of his older fights, and then we realized, yeah, I'm a baby to this UFC thing. Cobb, when we saw the highlights, Cobb been a dog. Cobb is that guy,
For
and
the best,
so
yeah.
I'm glad that he got the win to leave. He got the media package. This is how a fighter of his caliber deserves to go out, after serving and retiring at 42, bro. Like, come on.
Especially lighter weight categories.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
a big
And
achievement there.
and he didn't make it look like, oh, this guy is retiring. He made it look like he could
He
do
could
two
fight.
more fights, three
He
more
could fight
fights.
still. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Well, he was asked about that, and he said that he has he's over 30, he has gathered enough experience, and he's going into
yeah.
coaching and stuff like that. So that would be a great asset to anybody to
Leave
have
the game
a man
before the
like Cub
game leaves
Swanson.
you. That's what Chael always
Yeah,
says.
correct.
Leave the game before
Exactly.
the
He
game leaves
he
you.
he did it at the right time.
Yeah.
By the way, I got a lot of picks.
42.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he won, right?
Listen,
He went out on top. He went out on top.
at
I
42.
got a
So we
lot
have
of
hope,
picks
bro,
wrong
right?
in this. Yeah,
Yeah.
in this card. One of those was well, we just running through the rest.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pitbull lost via unanimous decision to Aaron Pico.
Ian
Now
Pico.
I had to say,
Yeah.
bro, I picked Pitbull thinking Pitbull could have kind of turned back the clock. We would have seen a Pitbull from before kind of thing. But
Yeah.
Pico looked amazing, bro. Pico was much faster. As I said too, he had a point to prove after being knocked out recently.
Yeah.
And he actually, fun fact too, he actually said he trained with Chamayev for this fight, and
Okay.
Chamayev gave him some good tips and stuff like that. So at the end of the day, good pick on Aaron Pico. Great performance.
I think I've said this before. Sorry. Even when I used to watch Patricio in Bellator, I was concerned about him fighting still. Um, I do think he should retire. I think Rob said it last time. This is definitely an example of the UFC feeding a younger fighter to somebody who has name and status. Congratulations to Aaron Pico.
Yeah.
He won by decision. He looked excellent from the sound of the start to the end. He looked so good. His coach said to him, "Hey, you look really good," and I said, "Yeah,
His
he
boxing was
does.
on
He
point too.
does. He does." He was sharp, coming and going, boxing, even on the takedowns, the defense. Patricio looked like a fighter that's about to be retired. Um, Maybe we should start looking into like when these guys get to these ages, just have them fight guys around the same age and keep them in a certain bracket. Like do something like a BMF belt title or do like a retirement belt or something.
Like a masters category. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because it becomes very heartbreaking sometimes to see some of your favorite fighters get pieced up by a guy who's hungry and looking for it on his way to the belt and just get mowed down. And it's not necessarily that Pitbull didn't look good, but he didn't look great. He didn't look good. He didn't look good. He didn't look good, realistically. So congrats to Pico. Hopefully that
Yeah.
loss was just a blip. He looked so good. He didn't really take much damage. I think I said this in the group chat. 2 3 months time, hey, I hope he looking for another fight. Like, bro, we in May. Get two more.
Yeah, he might get a fight in the international fight week.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Get two
Yeah.
more fights done and start shouting for the title contention next year. Like that's how you should start planning because he looked so good. He looked so good. I think the rest of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
division definitely has their
I
ears
think,
up.
yeah, yeah, definitely, I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah. So get a couple of more fights for this year. Play it cool. Keep the winning streak going. Start looking for that contention next year, bro. Pico looking good.
Moving right along, we had Kevin Holland via unanimous decision over Randy Brown. Now, this is another one that I got wrong, but to be honest, Kevin Holland looked really good. He destroyed Randy Brown's lead leg, and then he actually dominated the grappling and better striking. It was a
Yeah.
total dominating performance, bro. And well done to Kevin Holland.
I said this on the preview that I am in a love hate relationship in terms of how I feel about Kevin Hart's career. Sorry, Kevin Holland's career. Kevin Hart, Kevin Holland's career, and I'm just now right now I'm in the heat part of it, and I'll stay here for a little bit just because he's really disappointed me with a couple of his previous performances, and so performance was good. This is what I expect every time I see Kevin Holland. Kevin Holland is a top 10 fighter, in my opinion, and he's not 10. Kevin Holland, in the top 10, in my opinion, is probably 7 or 8. He could even get to 6. I don't understand what happens to him most of the time. Honestly, it's not that I didn't think he can't beat Randy Brown. I just was like,
Probably doesn't
I'm
lose
going to pick.
focus.
Yeah, and so he looked really good this time. I want to see him perform really well in his next fight, and then I'm going to be back on the Kevin Holland train. But congrats to Kevin Holland. Commiserations to Randy Brown. He didn't look terrible. I can say that. Randy Brown didn't look terrible. Kevin Holland just had a little bit too much for him on this time, and them's the breaks, bro. That's how the game goes.
All right, well, just going through some of the other results, and there's a couple of fun facts. We had Gamrot with a submission arm triangle win over Robok Fix. So that
Yeah,
was a
we both picked him.
total grappling domination. And then we had Padilla. He initially won via majority decision against Maderos, but we saw that was changed to a draw. By the way, he's putting a formal protest to get that result
What was
overturned.
the situation with that though? Because I didn't understand what happened.
Well, they how they change it to a draw.
Yeah, like they just read the wrong results or something.
So there's a whole thing. We're not sure if Bruce Buffer got the wrong thing
Card.
or if he said the wrong thing, but two of the judges had it 28-28 and one had it 29-28 to Padilla. So that is what he protested. He's saying that now, if anything, he should have gotten it by the majority decision.
Majority, yeah.
Yeah. And then we had Tatiana Suarez with a rear naked choke over Lupi Godinez. Very dominant in the grappling. So well done to Tatiana Suarez. She's
Come
back.
on, Tatiana. She's back. She is
She's,
back.
yeah.
She looked
We had
good.
Luque with a Dars over Kevin Gastelum. I had Kevin. Kevin was again looking good until he wasn't, right?
Nah.
And Luque looked like a monster, bro. I'm really
Kevin
happy for
looked
Luque moving up to that 185 and looking good.
Kevin looked how I expected him to look, and Vincente Luque looked like how when I saw Vincente Luque fight for the first time, I was like, "Yo, who's this
Yeah,
guy?" That's how I saw him fight, and
he
that's why
looks
I'm
reinvented.
always a fan because he is so intense. I like that about him. He looked good. Hopefully, he's really back, and we'll see.
And we had Radike over Prado in the early fight as well.
Yeah,
Couple quick things to note. So we had Olympic champ Gable Stevenson there, and
Stevenson. Yeah,
he was lining with John Jones. John
yeah,
Jones is his coach. He has signed with the UFC. He has a 3-0 record with three knockouts, by the way.
yeah.
Wrestler with three knockouts. And his debut is set for UFC 329 on July 11 for the International Fight
Okay,
Week.
international fight card.
They don't have an opponent for him yet, but he's there and he's training with John Jones. So
Josh Hokett.
I guess, yeah. No, well, Josh Hokett was already booked just before, so
It's
just
fine. He's
before.
gonna fight. He's gonna do both. He's gonna do this, and then he's gonna fight Gable.
Well, if he knocks out Derek Lewis, then he could, I guess he could make a quick turnaround and fight Gable. Yeah, no problem. We mentioned Josh Hokett. He got two bonuses: fight of the night, performance of the night.
Yeah.
Ulberg as well earned that performance of the night. Um, John Jones, your boy, he said being there lit a fire under him, and he may or may not consider coming out of retirement. Now, I think it all depends on whether Alex Pereira wins the interim belt and
Yeah.
or when Tom comes back to get the undisputed title. So that is something we gotta keep our eyes on. And the ultimate
Ultimate
season
Fighter.
34 is
Yeah.
coming out, and it's Team Bisbin versus Team Cormier,
Versus.
right?
Yeah.
They said they're not going to fight after, as is the
Of
normal
course not.
tradition. So that's another interesting thing
Yeah.
in the works as well.
I
So
think it's two very
yeah,
interesting,
kind of rounds it off.
very interesting guys that are going to be leading this tough. I think I might have a tune in, bro. I might have a tune in to see it because I think DC is very entertaining, and I've admitted already I'm a huge Michael Bisping fan. I listen to his podcast all the time. I take in a lot of his content and stuff like that.
All right, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
Anyhow, guys, UFC 327. That was our review. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment.